separate your personal life and your business, or how does that work?
You know, it's interesting because I actually did set up a HarperStudio one and a personal one, and I guess it sort of depends on who you are and what your job is. And I guess I'm glad that I did that. I've gone back and forth about that because I do have other interests besides and other things going on, what's happening at work that I don't necessarily think, that I would not send out from my work account. So for instance, I'm obsessed with public education, and I have a whole different blog on public education, and I tweet out stuff about that, and it wouldn't really be appropriate if I was doing it from HarperStudio. So I guess there is, for that reason. So I guess I would say that it probably is best to have two, unless you're an entrepreneur and it's one and the same and it's all one big thing, then you would just have one. But I've gone back and forth about that because a lot of people say, well, which one should I follow? It's like, it's different things, so whichever.
Another question I have is, I know a lot of people are thinking, well, do I need to get approval from my boss to have a blog and talk about the books, and my boss doesn't understand digital, and,
right.
And how do I kind of manage that whole corporate?
Right. And I toe that fine line too. And I always say, first of all, I think in book publishing, I can't imagine, unless you're writing something wildly inappropriate, that anybody would have a problem with it. And my personal feeling is, I push it sort of as far as I can go without getting fired. I don't want to get fired. But I probably am more myself. I mean, I actually have 3 blogs. I have one on Tumblr that's just me and it's unfiltered. And then I have one on Ning, which is like a community educational site. And I'm somewhat unfiltered there. And then at work, unfiltered. So, you know what you can do and not get fired. But I think it would be, to my mind, it can't be anything less than positive to have somebody who's connecting with a community so that A, you can educate your bosses, B, you can educate the authors, and C, you have a base of people that you can connect with when hopefully the books you're working on are of interest to you and you can communicate that to your people.
Can you repeat that, Debbie?
Yeah, she said I talked a lot about different platforms and how do I find out what's effective, and here it is right here. Try everything. I do. I sign up for TypePad, WordPress, Tumblr, Twitter, every single one that I can possibly spend the time in, because for me, I don't know if everybody's like this, I really get to know it by using it. I can see what the quirks are and what it's good for and what it's not good for by using it. So I do try them all. Like for instance, Ning, I had an author sign up for that, and it just didn't seem to be working. And so then I went in there, started my own, and I realized what Ning is good for is like when there's a hive that needs a place to land, it's good for a hive. So if you have, Patterson or some big author where there's a hive, that's what it's good for. But it doesn't have like the viral capability of Tumblr. And WordPress, when you're in there, you'll see it has a lot more capabilities than all the other ones that I found.
What do you say to people, generally older people, who say, this is all going to pass, this is all just a fad?
Oh God, they are so crazy.
I tell them.
Yeah. That's like saying people are still going to ride the horse and buggy and not admit that there's a car. It's like the train left the station so long ago. It's you really cannot not be doing it. It's how, as I said, when I'm looking to hire somebody, I Google them. I don't really care so much what they have written on a piece of paper. I care what they're talking about out there. I don't think you can put the genie back in the bottle. So, and I just, in this day and age when there's, it's harder and harder and harder in some ways, but it's easier and easier and easier. I feel like an author who doesn't get that or an employee who doesn't get that is in trouble. We can't publish those people. I just don't, there's too much competition for everyone not to be doing it and knowing about it.
Can you say more about changing the format of books to, for the new format? Has anyone tried it? What have they tried?
Well, they haven't that much. I'm sure. Did you guys all see that story in the Times about the book, which is the video enhanced ebook? And it's the guy who was at what's that place that was it? Turn Here, exactly. And he's trying to do, and he has some beta that I'm going to see tomorrow, I think. And then Stanza, which was just sold to Amazon, they actually did a video enhanced ebook, and they have links in their book in Stanza. They did it on Jeff Jarvis. I don't think it was ever released though. So it's happening in a very small degree. There's complications because all these different devices use different formats, and so you have to create one for the iPhone and another one for the Sony e-reader and a whole nother one for the Kindle. So that's a complicating variable that hopefully will sort itself out soon. But I just think we need to start thinking like this. Thinking of building, because it's not far away. It's maybe the fall.
With regard to skills again, the picking up different platforms and experimenting on the web is pretty easy for anyone to just sort of dive in and acquire a background. How important would more specialized skills such as knowing HTML and having have gone to classes, or knowing InDesign, or knowing video editing, or knowing other more in-depth programs?
I think it's really important. I mean, I haven't found anybody in publishing really who knows that. Very, very, very few. And I'm constantly, needing it. And I signed up for and actually Sarah, who works for me, she's gone to the Mac store and she's taken a couple classes that's helped. They got rid of our entire promotion department. So now if you want to do an online ad, you have to do it yourself or hire somebody.
Do you know any programs that they're offering classes that you might recommend?
Well, there's something called lynda.com, and apparently there's, I signed up for it actually.
Would you
I
mind
just haven't,
spelling that? Sorry.
I think it's Lynda. And they have, online classes that you can do, videos that teach you, and I haven't had the time to do it, but I think everything you would need to learn is in there.
Cool.
And the Mac store also offers classes.
Great.
What differences do you see in terms of marketing print books as opposed to new formats online? And kind of as a follow-up, do you think that there's a new market for readers who aren't reading print books who would read these new formats, people who are more technically savvy, or do you think that inevitably there's going to be a cannibalization?
I think that people are reading more now than they ever were before. I know I am, but it's just not necessarily traditional books as we knew it. So I just think it's, it's shifting, and we need to, ride the wave and shift with it. And I do think there's going to be a different market. I mean, I can tell you with my kids, and by the way, this hasn't gotten down to the level of kids, at least not in my world, and my kids are pretty technically savvy. But I showed them, I got them the Stanza app on their iTouches, and they started reading on there, and they think it's really cool, and it makes it more fun to read, they think. So I do think it is going to open up more opportunities. I mean, the integration of the social stuff with your book is easy, and I think that's like a whisper away. So I think when you're reading an ebook, I mean, everyone I've talked to, all the developers seem to think that they all say to me, no problem. And I know, Susan did it with the DailyLit. So I think that will change and develop more.